Hey everybody, welcome again, and thank you for the love. How is everybody? How you doing? Ask yourself, how am I doing? Pretty fantastic. If I'm completely honest, yeah, I do feel pretty fantastic. I feel a bit sick in my belly actually right now. Don't know why. Well, I just had a chug of water actually, so that might be why. Just a little bit swishing. I just went and I was just doing some work in my garden, and yeah, that might be why. Anyway, doesn't really matter, I suppose. So, hello, and today, this afternoon, it's a very fine, beautiful afternoon. Actually, I'm going to show you. It's very beautiful outside. It's just out the front, and yeah, palm trees blowing. Everything's looking beautiful. So there we go. That's what we're going to do. Let's put this back. Yeah, it's funny living in a place where it's summer all the time. I mean, we have two seasons: winter, summer. Obviously, we have the four, but they're not so marked, you know. And here on the Pacific coast of Mexico. It's beautiful here. So, today I'd like to it's kind of like a continuation of the Dying to Myself theme thing that I've been talking about. But I also want to talk about relationship and relationships and at least what it's meant to me, because I can only ever talk about it from my perspective. Obviously, I can't talk about it from anyone else's because I'm not anyone else, even though we are technically everyone else in some form, some way, shape, sense. But from my understanding of me, up to this point in my life at least, right? You know, because everything that I want to talk about and say through this avenue, through this avenue of videos, is truth to me up to this point in my life, right? So take everything, obviously, that I talk about, as I said, I think in the last video, to some sense, like with a pinch of salt, grain of sand, literally a grain of sand, and find your own truth within everything, right? Because wanting to talk about relationships and relationship and what that means, it's a really difficult thing to talk about ultimately, because we have a relation with absolutely every single thing on the planet. So how do we interact with that? What does that look like? You know, ultimately for me, that I found is like how I react, but how I interact with my environment really is depicted from everything that's inside my internal environment, because that's where everything's being expressed from. So I really need to work on introspection, studying, the science of studying myself in some sense, in the complete sense of it, really. I feel like there's a bit of resistance to me saying that, because it's like a real egocentric thing, and people are like, oh, it's just weird. But it's like, if you don't sit and you don't analyze, you don't see, you don't judge, because you need to have this judgment to be able to form ideas, answers, questions, because we don't question enough, and we don't come to conclusions enough, I think. At least for myself. I mean, you do see it, so we can judge what we see. But again, ultimately, we're just criticizing, we're being an inner critic, right? Because something might not be the way that we would love it to be. Well, why does it need to be any other way, right? If there's a lot of violence, then yeah, it'd be nice if it was the opposite to that. Everybody was hugging each other and loving each other, laughing and having a nice drink and going for some good food, or watching the sunset and just embracing each other. But you know what? I'd rather kill you instead, because I'm envious. Bizarre. So, myself, relationship to myself. I didn't realize how detrimental it was, how detrimental my relationship to myself was, until now that I'm in this position, this point of I've seen enough of myself up to this point that I realized the majority of things that I was doing were, as we spoke about, were conditions. Somebody else's ideal, somebody else's thought, watching the way somebody else eats, and training my body to be a certain way in the world, because that's what you do. You do what everybody else does, and we just follow suit, and we don't give it a second thought until we're like, why are we doing this? Why am I doing that? Why are they doing that? So when I started to see the things that I was doing and realizing that it didn't serve any purpose. I mean, it has served its purpose. It served a very deep purpose. All of my own little realizations around my habits, my behaviors. Because the ones that I really wanted to pay attention to were the ones that had some form of detriment to somebody else. But as it turns out, it was a detriment, an internal detriment that I was already holding towards myself. And then that was just becoming projected onto my environment, right? My external environment. I've noticed, I've watched the videos back sometimes, I'm constantly itching and scratching my body. I find it very funny. Maybe it's the tropics. I need to move, oh my god. There's a lot of bugs here, but you get used to it. So, I'm watching myself and how I'm interacting. Do you really pay attention? Do we really pay attention? Do I really pay attention? Have I paid attention? How can I start to pay attention? What do I need to do? And we spoke about this in other videos. The first step, at least from my opinion, from the way that it's happened, just naturally happened to me, was when I became aware through stretching my body that certain parts of my body were holding tensions. And those tensions, as they would release energy, a physical sensation, which I would feel in the body, right? Discomfort in some way. And then it would project a thought. And I'm going to constantly go back to these three things. And then it would express itself. It depends on my environment, my external environment, to what's going on. It depends on that release of energy. The thought process depends on how I'm going to act to another human being, to myself, to an animal, to nature. More than not, it's to myself. That's the way it's been to me. Because I was always scared to project it onto somebody else, because I didn't like fighting. I was beaten a lot by my environment. Not just physically, but in many ways, belittled, put down, whatever it would be. So anytime there was some form of external discomfort that triggered something in my body, it was like, oh, that feels shitty. Thought, oh, and then it would just run and stay in that loop, the physical sensation would come up, it would create a thought, and then I'd constantly self-chatter and remind myself how terrible something was, whether it was myself or the situation. And then I would think immense amounts of options and different ways that could have or should have played out. And generally it was a very negative outcome, which normally related in some form of violence, actually. And then it would perpetuate and create my heart to beat faster and my adrenals to pump out more adrenaline. And I'm like running and fearful, I'm about to die, and I'm scared, and I'm fighting, and I'm doing all these crazy things. And I'm just sitting in my living room on my armchair or driving my car. My heart's racing. I'm thinking. And then I'm like, oh crap, how did I get there? I've been driving for 20 minutes. You didn't pay a single bit of attention. The body was on autopilot. Catch yourself. When you catch yourself within your detriments, maybe I'm just drinking a pint. Oh no, I'm drinking 4 pints. Oh, I'm drinking 7 pints. Why am I drinking 12 pints? Why am I really doing that? Does it really make me feel that good? I said in my last video, I've been having these little cheeky beers, and it makes me feel so unwell. If I have one, it feels delicious. If I have 2, I'm like, okay, that's enough. But if I have more than that, which I did last Sunday, and it's what I drank most of my Sunday at the beach, it was a beautiful day, and then I felt so unwell that it was just reminding me that I don't do this anymore. I don't need to do it anymore. It doesn't bring me any joy, really, truthfully. And it sucks. And it was a detriment to myself, to my body again. Then I felt like my kidneys were hurting. My body felt bloated. I felt sick. I didn't sleep all night. I wasn't sick, but I felt so unwell. It created weird heart palpitations. My body just, it was so intoxicated that it didn't feel good. So was I being violent to myself? Yes, of course I was. But in the moment it didn't feel like it. I was having a lot of fun, playing frisbee, playing with my kids, digging holes in the sand, hanging out with friends. It was delicious, beautiful. The sunset was absolutely beautiful. Paying attention to what I'm doing to myself, the relationship that I have with my food. Is it loving? Or is it just a distraction? Because I'm nervous, I'm anxious. The drinks that I'm putting into my body. Can I just drink a beautiful lime water? Which is very cleansing to my system. Yes, I can, and it's absolutely bloody delicious. This is not a sponsor, by the way. My brother brought some over when he came, and my wife loves it. I can't stand the stuff anymore. I had a lot of turkey and Branston pickle sandwiches at Christmas. So many growing up. It was always in my house, Branston pickle and cornflakes. Not together, of course, but they were always in the house. It was like a staple diet. Got to laugh at all of it. It's so wonderful. So the relationship that I have with myself, who does that project onto? First and foremost, well, if I'm in a relationship with my wife, with my kids, my partner, my best friends, my acquaintances, my work colleagues, what relationship do I have with myself that I'm constantly forcing and projecting and pushing somebody else to feel how I feel? At the moment, I'm starting to feel very loving, kind of giddy and happy. The majority of the time. Most of the time, I'm just kind of flat. I'm just kind of neutral and just like, eh. Like not emotionless, but in this space of, okay, I'm just seeing and experiencing. I'm just working out my new way of existing on this planet. And it's beautiful, but it's a bit strange at the same time. But more than not, I'm like in this loving space. And I really find myself in some cheeky way, not forcing, but I feel like I want to push that onto people a little bit. That's not for me to do. It's not for me to force anybody to fall in love with their own life. It's not in my nature. It shouldn't be in my nature to do that. Just be myself. And that in itself, it's attractive to somebody else. Especially when it's something very positive. I see people that are so positive, I'm like, oh my God, what a beautiful thing that is when you see someone that's just floating and happy. And you realise that's just their state of being because they've done so much work. That there's not so much tension in the body anymore, not so much fear and muck and grossness. And then I can be there as a space holder for somebody else when they're in their stuff. I can be there for my partner when she's feeling. I can hold her and say, you know what, I love you. This is beautiful. Just let it go, let it come out. My kids, come here, just cry. I don't always do that. Sometimes it triggers me. I'm like, I need to be out of this space for a second because it's making my body feel too much, and it's my mind saying, do this, do this, do this. You want to act out this, and I can feel the impulse to act. I don't want to act on it. So I just sit with it. And then I do the exact opposite, more than not, of what my body wants to express, because that's how my body learned growing up. And it's so deep inside our beings. It's not just from when I grew up. I reckon it's probably generation. So I've got all that information in my cells that say, when this kid cries, this is what you should do. Pause. Don't do that stuff. Stop. Do I need to be angry? No. There's time for anger, aggression, strength. You might need it, but as a survival, not as a necessary act of violence just to hurt someone because you're angry with yourself. It's not the way it should work. But we do that. That's really how we do it. So can I be okay so that when I meet that person in front of me, can I meet them? Can I see them? Can I be with them? Can I be fully there? Can I be really okay with me so I can be with my wife? And then when everything is calm and smooth, how do we walk through the life within our relationship? Understanding, one, that we're individuals. We will always be an individual. There's nothing but one. But when I decide to be in a union, a partnership with the whole, I need to be in union with that. So that there's a flow, the flow of life that's just happening. Everything's just happening. Can I just walk and just let everything just happen without me trying to manipulate it? Can I just allow everything to come to me without manipulating it? Here it comes, something positive. Oh, it feels good. Something negative. Oh, don't like that. Feel it? Okay, I see you. Okay, calm it down. Come back. When we work enough on this system, and we start to get calm, eventually what's going to happen is the partnership with your wife, your spouse, your husband, is going to get so calm because you're going to see each other and you're going to really understand each other. Your own needs, the necessities that you have as a human, as a partner, as a one. I would like to explore life. I want to be in life. I'm going to bring you home every day. I'm going to caress up to you in bed. You're safe. Go and travel. Go and see the world. Go and love. You're completely fine. Because you're not my property. My kids aren't my property. They're theirs. They came through us. But they're theirs. They're not mine. So can I take away all my things, my conditions, and be with another human being? Right now I live in a house. There's 4 of us. But we're 4 individuals in a relationship. How do we be in that relationship? We have to work out that the 5-year-old has very specific needs. The 12-year-old has very specific needs. The 35-year-old has very specific needs. And the 41-year-old has no idea what he needs. So it's like, okay, here we go. How do we do that with patience, compassion, understanding, joy, letting the frustrations go because they're really not yours in the first place, and just being with it all, bringing joy and love into this dynamic expression. And then once the family unity, the one is okay, you're going to take that out into the street, into society. And then you start to see the dramas, the mayhem, the madnesses that we're creating because one's not okay. Because we've all been conditioned from so many vast different ways that one decides, well, my way's the right way. No, my way might be the right way, but just for me. My wife's way is the right way for her. So far, we've got maybe 8 billion people on the planet. Everyone has the truth. Everyone has the right way. Choose your way, but don't use it as a detriment to somebody else. Just bring yourself to love. Have all of the things that we need. Have everything that you need. Why not? Because life's here. It's just the once. But can we do it in a way that it's not of no detriment to our society, to nature? Can I be okay to myself? The nature of you. Have you fully understood that your body is a living organism? Imagine right now if you just lost all thought processes. Every single thought process. Imagine that we just wiped clean of emotion. All of a sudden you're just a body. And you're staring at yourself in the mirror like, there's not a thought about what are you looking at? Who am I looking at? What is going on? Imagine you were just that. And you realize that, I look at a tree right now and I realize that a tree is a living organism. That's freaking amazing. My body's a living organism. And there's something in here that allows me to experience it, whether it's in here or out there. I'm still yet to fully discover. But as it turns out, my path is to somehow discover this. And it's, to some people it'll seem very bizarre. To other people it's fascinating. To me it's fascinating. To now be like, okay, I have this body. My heart's beating. And if I'm not consciously choosing to do a breath practice and I'm with awareness inhaling and exhaling into my body's just breathing. I don't have to do a single thing. What? Your body's alive. Treat it with respect and reverence. And that relationship with yourself will become so loving, little by little. If you want to stop smoking, you want to stop drinking, you want to stop eating sugars, you want to stop all these things, one at a time. Don't do them at the same time. I can assure you it's of a detriment to your body. Your body will freak out, it'll be uncomfortable, and it will not be enjoyable. and you won't quit. You don't have to quit. Have a little bit every now and then. Take care of your body. Give it what it does need. Your body will tell you. And forming this relationship with yourself, you start to form different morals. And these morals are the basis to everything. In these yogi practices, morals are the first thing that we should learn. Before we do asana, stretching, before we do breath practice, before we do meditation, before we do dietary things. Morals, that's the first thing that we should learn. So, that's enough for today. That went quick. Time went so quick. Much love. I'm going to continue into the next video. Share any of the videos, all of the videos. Lots of love. And next time, I think we'll talk about the relationship with our morals and the things that we do, that we project out into the world, that are creating all of the terrible, heinous, bodacious things that we're doing with each other. Namaskar. See the divine in you, your living organism of love, beauty, wealth, and joy. I'm working on it still. I'm not there. But it's something that I really deeply have a deep desire to experience more fully. Because the anxiety and depression is disappearing, it's dissipating, it's going. Now the body's breathing. It's alive. I'm aware that it's alive, and it's loving. It's loving. It's just love. That's all it's giving. It's just giving me love. It's keeping me alive. Thank you. This is such a joy. With love and respect to every single human on the planet. Thank you.